watching Operation Outlander. Today we have a special guest to discuss this episode's case. Welcome, Jaina.
Hi, I'm Jaina. I'm an expert in criminal psychology.
And today we'll be looking at cartels, what they are, what they do, and the way they conduct themselves. We'll be looking at this while exploring the horrifying murder of Huevo. And Jaina will explain the motives behind the crime. It's one of my favourite niche cases, and I'm curious to see your thoughts on it.
Oh, I haven't heard of this one. That's all.
That's not surprising, as it happened 25 years ago and wasn't widely publicised, but it contains drugs, car chases, and even murder.
Yeah, I see why it piqued your interest.
So, first things first, what exactly are drug cartels?
Well, a drug cartel is a criminal organisation composed of independent drug lords who collude with each other in order to improve their profits and dominate the illegal drug trade. They form with the purpose of controlling the supply of the illegal drug trade and maintaining prices at a high level.
For being illegal, they are also focused on being profitable, but dangerous business. As you know, drug cartels are not known for playing fair and aren't held accountable for their actions.
Of course, they are often in competition with one another, which creates rivalities. Not only that, but as they deal in illegal activities, they are often hiding from the government to avoid capture.
In the UK, drug trafficking is a huge problem, as they will often target vulnerable people to be drug mules, who are given the dangerous task of transporting drugs across the border, which often involves swallowing balloons filled with narcotics that are collected as they have passed through their system before being sold.
In the UK, the way most cartels get drugs across the border is through container shipping yachts and small boats, light aircraft, vehicle traffic from continental Europe, airline passengers, the post and fast parcels. Yet, none of these routes are without their risks.
These cartels are ruthless and will do whatever it takes, which makes them no stranger to danger and violence. They will even turn against their own members if they create problems for the cartel.
It's clear that drug cartels are risky yet interesting aspect of the criminal underworld, and I'm eager to learn more.
Well then, let's get into the case.
On the morning of January 27th, 1999, the Met Police got a call regarding an unknown body of a young boy found in an industrial bin in South London by a children's park. The police ran toxicology screens, fingerprint scans, and dental records during the post-mortem to discover his age, nationality, and unfortunately, drug habits. This led to police looking at underground crime scenes within Colombian community to get to the source of the crime.
That's so crazy how they managed to narrow it down so quickly.
Well, the Met Police got one of their serious crime teams to investigate it, due to its disturbing nature, which helped to fast-track the case.
Not surprising then. Why are the police so focused on the Colombian area specifically?
Well, the police followed due process by doing door duty and talking with people around the crime scene to discover that Huevo was a part of the Colombian neighbourhood.
I have to know, did anything stand out about the crime scenes?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Bin men found his body in an industrial bin in a park in South London. However, the main thing they noticed wasn't in the scene itself, but it was the state of the body. He had bruises, petechial hemorrhaging, and ligature marks around the throat, which led to suspicions of foul play.
That's horrid. So what does that mean? What exactly are ligature marks, and how did this lead to his death?
Well, ligature marks are an indication that someone died from strangulation and asphyxiated. These same marks appeared on Huevo as harsh lines and bruises. The post-mortem autopsy confirmed that he did indeed die by strangulation.
How on earth did this happen? What caused all of this? Was it a crime of passion, or was there an ulterior motive?
During the investigation, the police were led to El Barco Latino, a bar on the River Thames. This is where local drug barons would spend their time drinking, doing drugs, and partying. They discovered that one evening a fight broke out. and in the chaos of the fight, Huevo took this opportunity to steal a gold chain from Scarface. He then fled the scene. This led to Scarface's partner, La Patrona, to seek retribution for this affront in a rather violent manner.
But why did she care so much? Was there already an issue between the two of them?
Well, in the eyes of the cartel, a petty crime, as this is seen as grave dishonour, and she wanted Huevo to be punished for his show of disrespect. She contacted an assassin to call a hit on Huevo, and the assassin then went to his associate, who knew Huevo personally, and asked for his help to complete the job.
That's mental. I mean, it sounds like something out of a Guy Ritchie film. How did it go down?
I know, right? And what happens next is even worse. The two assassins found out where Huevo lived and lured him out by promising drinks, drugs, and a party. Sadly, this was not the case.
Once they got Huevo in the car, they carried out the heinous act they were hired to do. Huevo was sat in the passenger seat whilst the assassin was strangling him with a shoelace from behind. Whilst this was happening, the driver was beating and punching him from the side. It took approximately 20 minutes for young Huevo to die. It wasn't a quick kill. Once he was dead, the driver called up La Patrona to ask if she wanted Huevo's ear as proof of death. She declined this offer, but told them to dump him in a druggy area, which is where Huevo was later found by bin men.
Oh my gosh, what a scary way for someone to die. It sounds torturous. How is the report so detailed? How do they know that it took that long specifically?
Well, that's the thing. There was one other person in the car. He wasn't part of the cartel, but he was a part of the Colombian community. He became a key witness during the trial and helped to get a full conviction. This was because he was able to recount the entire ordeal. However, this witness wasn't so scarred by the experience that they have since they've been in therapy to help cope with the mental affliction it caused.
That is heartbreaking. How did they even catch the people who did this?
Well, luckily there was a police officer in Pimlico monitoring CCTV cameras the night of the murder.
During her shift, she saw a man on a street corner acting suspiciously as he was pacing back and forth, taking brief phone calls and continually checking his watch. Later that evening, another man came along to hand something over to him. As it turns out, the man on the corner was the driver, and he was calling La Patrona about payment. The man who came later on was handing over a payment of £2,000 for the job. Both men were taken into custody by police, and this CCTV was used as evidence to convict them both for the crime.
And what about the two drug lords, La Patrona and Scarface? Were they ever caught?
Well, after the initial theft, Scarface fled the country and is yet to be found. However, La Patrona was caught trying to escape the country and was stopped at the airport security with cash hidden in her underwear. This led to her prosecution.
Damn. Well, at least Huevo got some justice. It's mad that this isn't a well-known case. I mean, it sounds exactly like the plot of an action film.
I know, right? Now, we'll move over to your specialty, Jaina. Understanding the psychology behind the crime. What would drive someone like La Patrona or the hitmen to commit such brutal acts? Is there something in their background or environment that pushes them to this point?
Good question. In this case, La Patrona was an underground drug lord, and in the criminal world, loyalty is highly respected and an important trait. For example, when someone disrespects the leader, it could be interpreted as a sign of disloyalty, and they must be punished to ensure that nobody follows suit and to establish their power. People like La Patrona might feel that any challenge to their authority threatens their identity and status, which is crucial in maintaining control over others.
Do you think there could be elements of narcissism in play here?
That would make sense. Narcissism is often linked to individuals who seek power and control at any cost. In La Patrona's case, her need to maintain dominance and punish those who defy her authority could indicate narcissistic traits. Narcissists tend to react aggressively when their self-image or status is threatened, which could explain her extreme response to something as minor as a stolen gold chain.
What about the hitman, the assassin, and the skunk? They carried out this murder so methodically. Could it be something more than just following orders?
Definitely. When you look at the career of a hitman, they often rationalise their actions as simply doing a job. That kind of emotional disconnect can be a sign of antisocial behaviour, but it's also a possibility that they were operating under fear or financial desperation, as the cartel used both rewards and threats in order to control them.
What about the witness, though? He wasn't involved in the murder directly, but he was severely traumatised. How would witnessing something like this affect someone?
Witnessing such violence can lead to severe psychological trauma. He is likely to be experiencing symptoms of PTSD, nightmares, flashbacks, and quite possibly guilt for being unable to stop the crime. It is important to remember that trauma affects everyone differently, and prolonged exposure to violence could, for some, have desensitising effects, while for others it can lead to a long-lasting emotional toll.
It's hard to imagine this mental toll that this case had on everyone involved. It seems like the trauma and the violence just continued going, affecting not only the victim, but the entire community.
So, what happened during the court case?
Well, the trial took place at the Old Bailey in Court Number 2, nearly a year later. A dozen members of the Colombian community, normally bound by a code of silence, broke it to testify against La Patrona and her accomplices. La Patrona, the skunk, and the assassin were found guilty of murder after a 4-month trial. La Patrona's defence team encountered difficulties. Her barrister caused delays and was fined £5,000 for unpreparedness. Upon hearing this, the barrister yelled, "Take that!" and threw his credit card at the judge. However, thanks to the hard work of the Met Police, the case went fairly smoothly, and they were able to bring justice to Huevo. His remains were returned to his mother in Colombia. The 4th witness, who was in the car when he died, provided vital testimony for the court case, although he needed psychological help to deal with the horrifying experience. This also provoked the wider Colombian community to come forward about similar cases.
Despite the horrific case, it's nice to see how it brought a community together and led to more criminals being put away.
So, in conclusion, the main points of the case demonstrates how one small act can snowball into scenarios with catastrophic repercussions. Today, we've seen the lengths cartels will go to as a way to protect their reputations and what drives them to seek vengeance in such brutal ways. Huevo was an unfortunate casualty in this system, and we have seen the impact it has on the people in the community and has shed light on drug cartels. So, that brings us to the end of this tragic case of the brutal murder of Huevo. It's a chilling reminder of how power and revenge can drive people to do unspeakable acts.
Thank you for joining us in this deep dive of drug cartels and the murder of Huevo.
Next week, we will look at the minds behind some of the most infamous bank heists with our expert Frank. Until then, justice has been served. The case is closed.